Hey everyone, I'm Rod and Todd, a professional YouTuber who makes professional videos, and this is what will hopefully be episode 1 of a hopefully long-running series. So, I don't have a name picked out for the series yet because I have no idea what I just don't know what I'm going to call it, so post suggestions in the comments below, I guess. But I can tell you what the series is going to be about. So in 2019, Hasbro released the War for Cybertron Siege toy line, which is the first of 3 toy lines, that were all together. They would form the War for Cybertron trilogy. The 3 lines are supposed to tell an ongoing story. They don't do a good job of that. So the 3 lines, there's Siege, which focuses on the Cybertron war, the war between the Autobots and the Decepticons. And there's Earthrise, which focuses on the Transformers that are on Earth. And then there's Kingdom, which for some reason decides to be about Beast Wars. So it has a lot of Beast Wars characters in it. And there's also a couple other lines I'll be including in this, which are the Walmart exclusive War for Cybertron trilogy. I'm just going to call it a supplement to the main 3 toy lines, because they have a few figures redecoed with different paint jobs, and they also have some all-new releases as new characters. And then there's the 5th one, which I'll be including, the Studio Series 1986 toy line. It's basically just a bunch of figures released as part of the normal Studio Series line, but they're G1 instead of based off the Michael Bay movies. And I for some reason count the Studio Series 86 guys as a part of the War for Cybertron trilogy, so I'm going to be including them here too. And what this series is going to be about, it's going to be about me reviewing every figure from Siege, Earthrise, Kingdom, the Walmart War for Cybertron line, and Studio Series 86 that I own. There are a lot of figures that are too expensive, and I'm not made of money, so I don't have the money for the big Titan class guys or the Commander class guys, but I do have a lot of money for everyone else. That, and there are a lot of figures from these lines that just outright do not want, because they are either stupid or just stuff I don't care about. So I won't be including those also, because I don't have a reason to own them. So anyway, yeah, I'll be reviewing every figure that I own. There are going to be a lot of omissions, so be prepared for that. And also, these videos are also going to be in a certain order, so every figure from these lines, or at least from the 3 main ones, that being Siege, Earthrise, and Kingdom, are all numbered. So it starts with 1 and goes to 2, 3, 4, whatever. And I'm going to be reviewing them in order. Of course, I am going to be skipping a lot because I don't own every figure, but I will be trying my best to keep them in order. So, with all that being said, let's begin episode 1. I hope you enjoy. So this is WFC-S1 Firedrive. It was released in the Battle Master's size class as part of Wave 1 of the Siege toy line. The Battle Master subset, size class, whatever, they are tiny figures, about $5 each, which are designed to augment the larger figures in the line by transforming into weapons. The main theme of Siege was that any weapon could be wielded by any figure. I don't know why that's a gimmick. It's not really much of a gimmick considering that's something Transformers has done since the 80s. But whatever. So, Firedrive's alternate mode is a gun. It's a double-barreled white and black blaster thing that the instructions call a duo-charge electrostatic photon cannon. No idea what that actually means, but yeah, just a gun. And so, I will demonstrate how this augments a figure. The back of the card shows Optimus Prime with Firedrive. but I don't have Optimus Prime, or at least I don't have the Siege Voyager Optimus Prime. I do have the Leader Optimus Prime, and I'll review that down the road, but right now, I don't have the Voyager Prime from Siege. So I am going to be using Sideswipe here to hold Firedrive. So you can see he's got his fist here, and then the black handle here just fits into his hand. And he has a large gun. This thing's huge, or at least big when you compare it to the rest of the figure. Because this is the gun he comes with, is the shoulder thing here. But then Firedrive is a massive gun. And normally I won't be showing off the accessories when the figure is in its alternate mode unless it somehow augments the alternate mode in some way. In the case of the Battle Master figures, that's how things work. The primary accessory with this guy are these two pink little pieces here. They're made of like a soft plastic. You can kind of bend them if you want. I don't know why you'd want to, but you know they can. And they're these things. The technical term, according to Hasbro, are fire blasts. However, I'm going to be using the term blast effects because I think that sums them up pretty well. These are basically just supposed to represent the gun firing, be it lasers, or in the case of some of the ones that turn into like swords and stuff, they're like action lines to show it moving, like being like a sword being swung, whatever. But here he is in gun mode. You just attach the two pink pieces to the ends of the gun barrels, and they stay on pretty well. And it just looks like the gun's firing. Pew pew. Yeah, so let's just get Sideswipe out of here. We're not here to review him. He's down the road. We're here to talk about Firedrive. There's really nothing else I have to say about the gun mode. Nothing particularly special. Just a gun. I do think it's cool they have these little effect pieces here, but I don't know. I have nothing else to say, so let's just cut to the robot mode. So here is Firedrive in his robot mode. So you can see here's my hand, so he's a really small figure. Now, in robot mode, I'm going to be doing a little segment that I like to call Who Is This Guy? Because not every Transformer is a well-known character. Sure, you got your Optimuses and your Megatrons, but then you get stuff like this, so there's these obscure little side characters. So I'm going to be doing my best to explain who this guy is, and I'll be doing that for a lot of the other obscure characters as we go through this series. So Firedrive is a trademark-friendly renamed version of the Autobot Firebolt. Firebolt was released in the original 80s Transformers line as a Target Master, and just like this figure, he turned into a gun, designed to be wielded by the Hot Rod figure that he was sold with. And since this uses the universal handle size, if you have Titan's Return or the Studio Series 86 Hot Rod, he can wield it. I don't have the Studio Series 86 Hot Rod yet. In fact, those are just barely coming out as of this recording. But once I do the review of him, if I get him, I'll be showing this off with Firedrive in his hand. So yes, you can give this to really any Hot Rod figure with a 5mm fist hole, because that's the size of the handle. And yeah, it's really the backstory for this character. He doesn't have much in the way of personality. He's just a Transformer that turns to a gun. But now that you know who he is, let's talk about what he does. He's got in terms of articulation, it's very basic. He has ball joints at the shoulders, so they can move forward and back and out a bit. And then ball jointed hips, so they can move forward and backward and out of it. Very basic articulation, but that makes sense considering this is a tiny figure. He does have one accessory in his robot mode, and that actually is his gun. Yes, this tiny figure comes with a gun. So you'll note that the double barrels from the gun mode end up on his back. These are on a hinge piece, so they can be moved up and down, and like, this is just for the transformation, really. But what you didn't know is that this gun piece is actually removable. Yes, it just pops right off the hinge, and here's what it looks like without it. Kind of looks a little less kibbly. Yeah. And then on the underneath of this weapon, there's a smaller peg, this being a 3mm peg, which means it is compatible with LEGO people. I dropped the gun. It is compatible with LEGO people, so if you want to give this to a minifigure, go nuts. And he has a hole in the side of either arm, which is just the right size to fit his gun. You just pop it in there, and there it is. Pew, pew. He doesn't really do a good job of standing with it, given how this thing's kind of big compared to the figure. And yes, if you want, you can still mount the little blast effect things on the end of the gun. Although, he can't stand when you have these blast effects on there. But whatever, it's at least cool that a guy this small comes with a weapon. So if you want to display him in robot mode, you can have him with a gun. Of course, he's meant to be displayed in his alternate mode being held by a figure, but, you know, whatever. And then, when you don't want him to use his gun, you just pop it out of his hand, and then just pegs right back under the little hinge and folds down. He's doing the splits. In terms of paint apps, he doesn't have very many. He has a red painted face, an Autobot symbol on his forehead, which you can barely see, red on his chest, and a little bit of paint on his waist. I probably won't be talking about paint apps in all the larger figures, because they have a lot of paint apps, but here's a smaller guy. So yes, that is my review of the Firedrive figure, WFC-S1 Firedrive. And yeah, hopefully this video was good. I don't know. So yes, we'll come back next week with WFC-S2 Lionizer. Bye everyone.